Hi, Mackenzie. How are you?
Hi, Josh. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the movie. I've had a great time talking to the cast and been looking forward to talking to you in particular because Coral, I think, is such an interesting, exciting character. So, what was it like for you to come on board this movie as, I don't want to say a villain, but very much an antagonist in the arena?
I mean, I loved it. I honestly, I couldn't pick a character that I would have preferred to play in this franchise. So it felt right. And I'm excited to have joined with something that felt so right for me. And I love playing an antagonist, especially in this movie that sort of asks the questions like, who is the real villain? What is the villain? That was really fun to sort of be a part of that narrative. So yeah, it was a privilege, really.
Awesome. Were you familiar with the Hunger Games franchise? Like, obviously, not having known the movies, but had you read the books, watched the movies before coming on board, or was it almost a new world for you to explore?
I had watched all the movies. I had not read the books. I was telling someone else I'm very dyslexic, so I think I had to wait till I was like, fully on board with the movies to be like, all right, now I'm going to commit time to reading these books. And I'm so glad I did because they are incredibly written. I was so pleasantly surprised and was shocked that I hadn't really read them before. But yeah, became a very big fan through reading the books because the world is built so intricately.
Oh, that's awesome. And Coral seems to have this real hatred for Lucy. So working with Rachel, what was that like? And that back and forth you developed between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, we very, I think, organically developed a friendship on set. And I think that that aided in us being able to sort of go after each other. And we talked a little bit about like our stories and how our characters felt about each other. And I think that that helped a lot, sort of having that close friendship to be able to like dive deeper into these characters.
Yeah, and of course, Coral, we see, she goes into the arena with that plan of recruiting a team. So it must have been fun for you to play this very strong, well, just this very strong competitor and this very strong woman as well, who goes in and, we see her with the Trident. Awesome character to sink your teeth into.
Yeah, I loved it. It felt like a big responsibility for sure, to sort of be the first real like female head of the pack that's in every Hunger Games movie. So that was it was really exciting, and I think that we got to build a lot of what the beginnings looked like. Like actually, like you were mentioning, like recruiting. Those scenes were improvised, and then Francis decided that it was a great look into sort of how these teams were built, and so it stayed in the movie.
And of course, I mentioned the trident there. What was it like for you to be wielding that? There's that great scene with, I think it's Lamina, where you impale her and you throw her off the rubble. So those must have been fun days on set. I guess if fun is the right word to use.
Yeah, fun and scary. I before this I was very afraid of heights, and so we had like a sort of archway that was built in where we did all of our stunt work, and we practiced every day, and I practiced my trident every day. But it was hard work, but honestly one of the most rewarding things to sort of get over that fear and do a lot of the physical work that was required for this character.
Awesome. And I was talking to Max Raphael earlier, and he had nothing to good things to say about working with you. And of course, you've got this fascinating. The characters have such a fascinating relationship where obviously Coral despises Festus. But what was it like from your point of view to work with Max and work on that back and forth and that great scene, for example, when they're at the table together?
Oh, Max works in the same way I do, so we just immediately clicked. We have kind of a creepy amount of things in common, to be completely frank. So when we first met, we're like, we're the same person. It's so strange that we were cast and now we're a part of this like team in the Hunger Games. But we work in the same way where we both like to, a lot of homework, but we also really like to improvise. So we got to bounce off of each other a lot. And that was just so much fun working with him because, yeah, I do think that Festus and Coral sort of hate each other, but also are sort of perfectly matched in that way.
Cool. And we see it Coral throughout the game. She is a very dominant force. She takes out a lot of her fellow competitors in order to try and win this thing. And she comes in second place when all is said and done. So was it quite nice for you to, almost have that sense of achievement as this character that she comes that close to winning this thing? And what was it like to be this force of nature in some ways?
Um, yeah, it took a lot of work to make sure that that was coming across in an earnest way, because I definitely didn't want to be tough for tough's sake, like it has to come from a real place, and a real place of just being a natural, I think, survivalist. But it is fun, when you get to play these characters, to sort of let this other side of you completely come out. So yeah, it was a great experience overall, for sure.
And just to get into a little bit of spoilers, of course, her demise comes courtesy of the snakes. So, well, obviously they're CG, thank goodness. But what was it like for you to shoot that scene and to go through that process on that day on set?
It was a very emotional day on set. Just before we shot, so Cooper Dillon, who plays Mizzen, his death, and that was very hard for me to watch. I was very invested in it. And then we did my death scene, and Francis, really believed that this was like, it's the big reveal of who this character is. So we put a lot of time into that. Because we wanted to show this fully formed character, but also, the snakes are CGI, which means there was actually nothing there at all, which left a lot of liberty actually as an actor to be able to sort of decide, how you're interacting with them and that sort of thing. So it was a very rewarding day on set, because of the amount of creativity that we were allowed to have. And yeah, but it also a very stressful day, because I really knew that this was an important scene that we needed to nail in order for the character to come across properly.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job. And, this is a huge movie, similar to something else you've worked on, The Creator, which was obviously a big sci-fi epic. So moving forward, do you have any aspirations in this blockbuster realm, whether it be Marvel, DC, or more sci-fi, more fantasy? Is there anything in particular you've got your eye on?
I'm open. I want to play more of these kinds of characters. I think that sometimes with women, we're sort of like, well, do you want to diversify? But like, some of my favorite actors are Bryan Cranston, Gary Oldman, William Dafoe. So I very much look forward to sort of following in those footsteps. And I think playing more characters like that are strong, and that maybe look a little different from what we're used to, is something that I'm very excited about. So absolutely, like, DC Marvel villains, or maybe in between characters. I think those are something that I'm very excited to play. And I love sci-fi, so that as well.
Amazing. Well, looking forward to that, and looking forward to people being able to check out your work in this movie, because I had a great time with the film and I thought Coral was just an awesome badass. So thanks for taking the time today, Mackenzie.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you.